All right, the Sort of Sports podcast is back on to episode 12. Now, I should acknowledge the fact that we have not had an episode of the BS in 3 weeks, and there's actually a valid reason for that. Last week was Memorial Day weekend. Actually, last Monday would be Memorial Day, which is when we usually record as a Monday. And we've just had a lot of graduation parties going on. Quinn and I have both had a lot of things going on, a lot of things we have to go be doing. So that is why there hasn't been any new BS. But that is also a big reason why we're getting a new episode of the Sort of Sports podcast, because I have the time to do a singular podcast. I'm assuming we'll be able to do one soon and get back on schedule. But right now, we're both getting really busy with the start of summer. But pretty soon, we should be back on track. All right, so we've got some NFL we're going to start off with, and we're going to move over to the MLB and the NBA. NBA playoffs are going on. Got to talk about it. So let's start off with the NFL with Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans. That's huge. Huge move. This, I think, makes the Titans a contender. They look far and away the best team in their division. While I love the Colts, I'm not sure if they can beat that Titans team. Texans are completely falling apart, and while the Jaguars are fun, I don't see them contending for the division championship. So it's really just a two-horse race right now with the AFC South, but I think the Titans have a leg up. It really just depends on how well their defense does. We know Tannehill can perform. They've got one of the best running backs. I think Christian McCaffrey is slightly better than Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry might be the best running back from a running perspective, I would say. Like Derrick Henry, if I have to run the ball, I'm giving it to Derrick Henry, but all total package, Christian McCaffrey, because he's borderline a wide receiver and running back at the same time. Kind of like Alvin Kamara is that way too. So yeah, great move by the Titans. As soon as I heard that Julio Jones there was a possibility, I was scared, and I think this just confirms the fact that Aaron Rodgers is totally out of Green Bay, because I feel like if he was staying, they would have went and got Julio Jones. So let's move over to the MLB. A lot, and I mean a lot, has happened in 1.5 months. Well, I guess it'd pretty much be 2 months now I think about it. Yeah, a lot has happened in 2 months. Mike Trout got injured. Ohtani's becoming super hyped. Like, he was already hyped up, and now he's just by far the most hyped up. And on top of that, Javier Baez, for my favorite team, the Cubs, made an incredible mockery of the Pirates. He made the Pirates look silly, and that was pretty funny to me. So I think everybody has seen that play, and that was quite entertaining, I thought. Quite entertaining. So I'm not going to do my all-star team today. I will do an episode where I fill out my MLB all-stars. Right now, I just want to talk about the surprises. We'll start with surprising players. One of the guys I have here is Ketel Marte. Because for those of you who don't know, Ketel Marte right now has been killing it. Now, there was, I think it was 2019. Let me check. 2019, I remember, yes, it was 2019. He was an all-star. He batted .329 with a .389 OBP. His OPS was a .981, making his OPS plus a .148. That's elite. He was fourth in MVP voting for the NL that year. He was insane that year. Ketel Marte, consistently a player that entertains me. He's so good defensively, and when he gets the bats rolling, he's rolling. Well, this year, he's batting .382 on a .417 OBP with a 1.023. Anytime, for those of you who don't know, OPS is your on-base percentage plus your slugging. His on-base percentage is a .417, as I said before. His slugging is a .607. Slugging depends on how far, like extra base hits, how far you're hitting the ball. Him having an OPS over 1,000 means he's elite. And that's why his OPS plus, which 100 is the league average, is a 177. To put that into perspective, right now, the leader in OPS, Vlad Guerrero Jr. And we all know Vlad Guerrero Jr. is having an incredible year. His OPS is a 1.098. Jesse Winkler's is a 1.077. Tatis is a 1.058. Castellanos is a 1.042. So the Reds have two guys in that top 5. But I'm saying 1.023 for Ketel Marte. That means his OPS is the 5th best in the MLB. That puts him above Ronald Acuna. That puts him above JD Martinez. It puts him above Chris Bryant, Max Muncy, who people were saying was probably the player of the month. I think he did just win player of the month for the NL. He was incredible. So Ketel Marte, props to you. And now we're going to move over to a guy who's got the second highest OPS in the MLB, Jesse Winkler. The Reds outfield has been amazing. Both him and Nicholas Castellanos are on my most surprising players. I don't think anybody thought Jesse Winkler or Nicholas Castellanos would be having these numbers. From an offensive standpoint, that's where they've been killing it. 350 BA, 412 OBP. OPS, like I said before, for Winkler is a 1.077. His OPS plus is a 177. And his total bases, which would be a single, then each number is 1 per base, if that makes sense. So a double would be 2, a home run would be 4. He has 133 bases. So he has been incredible. Jesse Winkler is leading the MLB in OPS, OPS plus, and total bases. Nicholas Castellanos, his numbers are he's got the highest batting average in MLB right now at 359. His OBP is a 415. His OPS is a 1.042. And his total bases are 131, just 2 less than Winkler. And his OPS plus 169. So that duo, the Reds outfield, I filled out my first All-Star ballot the other day. I'm not putting out the official one yet because I think a lot can change by the end of the month. But both of them, me and my buddy, we were trying to fill it out as accurate as possible, not looking at who the stars and who we like, looking at who deserves it. And we had to put both these guys, Castellanos and Winkler. I think our other guy for the NL outfield was Marte. Yeah. So Marte, Winkler, Castellanos, those, in my opinion, they got to be your 3 outfielders for the NL. If you want to put Acuna, I understand. He's the big star. He's really likable, one of my favorite players. But, I mean, Marte, like I said, while Winkler and Castellanos, Marte aren't as big a names as Acuna, they have been outstanding. Outstanding. So, props to all of them. Another guy I had on the surprising list is Buster Posey. Who would have thunk the season he has been putting out this year? The entire Giants team is one of the most surprising things of the season. I'm going to talk about that later. He's batting 257. Not 257. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong season. I was about to say that's crazy. It's not that low. He's batting 333 with a 411 on base percentage. His OPS is a 994, almost at that 1,000 mark. His OPS plus is a 179, very high. And then his total bases is an 84. Interestingly enough, his OPS plus is higher than Castellanos's because OPS plus is also adjusted for the players' ballparks. And so Posey playing in the Giants ballpark more, that affects it and gives him a more positive rating because it's harder to hit there. So that's interesting. And then also is going to depend on where he travels and stuff. So I find that interesting that even though he's a lower OPS, his OPS plus is actually higher than Castellanos's. So Posey has been the feel-good story of the year. I think having a year like this is just going to ensure the fact he's going to make it to Cooperstown because right now his career averages of a 371 on base percentage, an OPS of 831, an OPS plus of 129. Right now he's got 150 home runs, batting average 303. He's got nice stats. His career WAR is a 43.2, wins above replacement. So he's got nice stats. People will like that when he gets called. His name gets called for the Hall of Fame. I think he's got a really, really good chance to be in the Hall of Fame. Because I saw a little thing, it's like, is he going to Cooperstown? I'm like, I feel like he has to be. He's a great catcher. And when you look at his stuff, he's got an MVP. He's got Rookie of the Year. He's got 6 All-Stars. Probably it's almost guaranteed it'll be 7 this year. 3 World Series, 4-time Silver Slugger, 1 batting title, and 1 Gold Glove, potentially another Gold Glove this year, depending on how his defensive stats look by the end of the year. So Posey's been great, and it's just, I think, really hitting home the fact that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Then the man who was running away with baseball in the first month of the season, and no one paid attention because his team's not very good, and that's Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. Whole career, never batted above 270. This year he started off, will say he's been missing some games recently. He's been injured, but in 92 at-bats, he's got 34 hits, sitting him at a 370 batting average with a 408 on base percentage, an OPS 1,180. He was not in league leaders just because he's missed so much. His OPS plus is a 229, folks. Over 200 OPS plus. That's insane. His total bases, he's got 71, which is quite less, interestingly enough, than Jesse Winkler. But it's because he hasn't played as many at-bats, hasn't had many games. And let's all remind ourselves that Byron Buxton's 27. So Byron Buxton, if he can keep this up, he's going to be incredible. So he's going to get an all-star this year. I feel like that's already confirmed as long as he's healthy. So let's hope Byron Buxton gets back soon because he was incredible. I'm not really putting Tatis or Acuna or Guerrero in surprises because I think really Guerrero's the only one to be even slightly surprising. I've always been high on Vlad Guerrero. I'm not surprised that he's leading in OPS. I'm not really that shocked about any of that. And Tatis is my favorite player. Chris Bryant and him are, I say they're tied, but I do think Tatis is higher. Chris Bryant's my second favorite player. Tatis probably my favorite. Tatis is not surprising me that he's leading in slugging. He's, top 5 in home runs. Yeah, he's actually 2 right now at 17. Guerrero's at 18. Like Acuna, Tatis, Guerrero, all juniors, oddly enough. Tatis Jr., Guerrero Jr., and Acuna Jr. 3 of the best young guys in the MLB. All top 10. Some you would say top 5 players, excuse me. And, they're great. Great players. So currently, I think this is just a little stat. There are 5 players that in 2 months into the season have 100% stolen base percentage. They haven't been caught stealing yet. Those are Marcus Semien, Akil Baddoo, I want to say, for Detroit. I do not watch many Tigers games, so I hope I didn't butcher that. Chris Taylor, Gene Segura, and Bo Bichette, another one of my favorite guys. Marcus Semien, I feel like I should give him a shout. I wouldn't put him in the most shocking players, but he has been really solid. 294 batting average with a 365 OBP. OPS plus 146. His OPS is an 895. Total base is 121. So he's been really solid for the Blue Jays. And he can play that basically the entire left side of the infield. He plays shortstop, second base, and third base. So good player to have on your team, solid. And really what he's best at is defense. That's his strongest suit. All right, now we're going to the most surprising teams. Now, I did not, I can't even lie, I really didn't think much of the Giants. And they've become one of my favorite teams this year. Every year, it feels like there's a Moneyball-style team that, while they don't have a bunch of names that pop off the page, they're just a good, solid team. Last year, that was the Rays. Now, they've become a bigger deal. People know Randy Arozarena. People know Austin Meadows. People know a lot more of their players. And that's the Giants this year. People know Posey. And no one really talks that much about other guys. Your Brandon Crawfords. And guys like that for the Giants just kind of fly under the radar. But they have been incredible this year. Brandon Belt, another one. Alex Dickerson's been solid too. Like, they're just a good team. Wilmer Flores, decent player for them. Like, they've got good guys. So, in the MLB standings right now, the Giants actually are leading the NL West, which is amazing because they're 37-22. The Padres are 36-25, and the Dodgers 34-25. If things stay the way they are, there's a really good chance the Giants could be in the wild card, but we're going to talk more about that later. So that's been really surprising. I think the Cubs are also pretty surprising, but that's just because Chris Bryant, I think, has been playing at the level we all expect him to play at. So that's why they're not my most surprising. But let's go back to the Giants here. I'm getting off topic. I originally had the Giants placing 4th behind the Diamondbacks. Right now, the Diamondbacks are last. The Rockies are actually second to last, but I feel like once everything falls by the end of the year, Diamondbacks will be the 4th, the Rockies will be 5th. But the Giants this year, they are 1 behind the Braves for home runs out of every team. They have 85. They've got a team batting average of 235. They've got an OBP of 322. Their team OPS is a 742. So the highest batting average in the MLB right now is held by the not Los Angeles. I did not mean to say that. I don't know why I misspoke like that. It's the Boston Red Sox, another one of the most surprising teams. So I guess I should just say the 3. I keep jumping around too much. Sorry. Let me make it clear. The 3 most surprising teams for me are the Giants, the Rays, and the Red Sox, because the Giants, like I was saying, they're batting really well, and it's like right here, they're not even – the highest batting average for any MLB team right now is 257, and that's the Red Sox. 257 and 235, there's a big difference there. So it's not like they're popping off the page. Their team OPS plus is a 109. That is one of the stats they're higher in, but still, the Blue Jays have a 110. The Rays have a 106. Even the Twins have a 111. Like, the Twins don't even have that good of a record. The Twins right now are last in their division with 24 and 35, one of the worst records in the MLB. So it just goes to show you that team stats don't really matter that much when it comes down to winning sometimes. It's kind of weird. Now, MLB wins above average by position. This is quite interesting. The Blue Jays do lead this. The Giants are 4th. So this one kind of reflects. This one's reflecting more. This one's reflecting more the standings, the wins above average by position. So, for example, your WAR right now for Milwaukee's starting pitchers' WAR is a 4.9. So they have the highest. That's how that's working. So that all adds up to create a number. So right now, Toronto, if you add up all their guys' WARs, like for every position, average it out, and then put it into one number, it's Toronto. Blue Jays have the best team WAR. Padres have second, makes sense. White Sox have third. Giants have 4th. Tampa Bay Rays have 5. Those are some of the 5 best teams in the MLB. We go back 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is Dodgers, Astros, Boston, Cubs, Athletics. So when you're looking at teams, the WAR seems to be most accurate, team WAR, to look at which teams are going to have good records. So I find that interesting. Really the only one who's surprising in this team WAR, who I think oddly high for their standing, is Miami. Miami is 14th in team WAR, but I think it's really just because they play in that NL East. That's a stacked NL East, and they are 25 and 33. If they were in a different division, like the NL Central, I feel like they'd be having a better record. All right, so the Rays, another surprising team. I had them at the beginning of the season. I kind of felt like they were going to take a step back, so I actually had them landing 4th in the AL East. I don't know why I was so low on them. I guess I was just kind of worried they wouldn't be able to capture that magic they had last year, but they have, and then some. They lost, I think, 2 games in all of May. Well, it might have been 3 or 4 now I think about it, but still, they were incredible in the month of May. And I don't even know what else to say. They have the best record in the MLB right now at 38 and 23, looking like a World Series contender, and that they're running away with that AL East, it feels like, even though the Red Sox still 36 and 23. But we're going to talk about playoffs soon. Then we've got the Red Sox. Like I just said, Red Sox have been great, especially I just have to say, and this might be my section on this might be my special section coming up, is how underrated Xander Bogaerts is. Xander Bogaerts this year has a batting average of 318, an OBP of 376. His OPS is a 912. His OPS plus is a 149. Anytime you're in the 150s, you're really good. Xander Bogaerts is so good, guys. People, like, shortstop's my favorite position. It's the most stacked position by far in the MLB. It feels like out of the position guys, obviously, like, pitching is a whole different thing. Out of the position players, shortstop by far, I mean, you've got Tatis, you've got Bo Bichette, you've got Xander Bogaerts, like I just said. You've got Tim Anderson. You've got Javier Baez. There's so many good shortstops. And Xander Bogaerts, I think, has got to be put into one of the best. Xander Bogaerts, I think, is very vastly underrated because it's not like he hits a crazy amount of counting stats. His home runs don't really pop off the page. He's got 10, which is actually the third highest on this team behind JD Martinez and Rafael Devers. Rafael Devers, by the way, been having a great year. Not enough people talk about him. But yeah, Bogaerts, he's great. I think he's the best player in the Red Sox, and people should talk about Xander Bogaerts more. I think he's a big reason they're getting wins. But JD Martinez has been batting well, and Rafael Devers, he's really stepped up this year. So props to that Red Sox team. I don't think anybody really expected them to be doing as well as they are. All right, now let's look at the playoff outlook for the MLB. So right now, if the playoffs ended today, your National League would look like the New York Mets. The one seed would be actually the San Francisco Giants, oddly enough. The Giants would be the one, and they'd play the winner of the wild card, which would take place between the Padres and the Dodgers. Then the Cubs would play the Mets, and I'm assuming the Mets would win that series. Then I don't toss a coin on who wins the Padres-Dodgers wild card. Could you imagine the biggest MLB rivalry right now is in a wild card, one game, winner take all? That'd be insane. Let's say, just for make me happy, well, the Padres win it. And then we got Giants-Padres. Padres win that series. So really, whoever wins that wild card game between the Padres and the Dodgers would win, in my mind, the National League pennant. Man, maybe the Giants shock me and they beat that team. It's really that game right there. I think the wild card and then the winner of that DS. I don't think the Mets or the Cubs, if the playoffs came today, would win it. Then for the AL, it would be the Rays, would be the one seed, with the wild card taking place between the Red Sox and the Astros. The White Sox play the Athletics. I feel like the White Sox would beat the Athletics. The Rays would definitely beat the winner of the Red Sox-Astros game. The winner would probably be the Red Sox. Then the Rays-White Sox, that'd be a great series. I'm going to go with the Rays just because, and then it'd be a Rays-Padres World Series. If the playoffs ended today, that's how I feel like it'd fall. And I would love that. Two teams I really like. But the playoffs aren't ending today. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, right now, we'll start in the AL East. The Red Sox are only one game behind the Rays. I do think the Red Sox are going to be able to keep this up. I think their pace is all right. But the Blue Jays aren't far behind at 6 games, and the Blue Jays are kind of rolling. My only thing with the Blue Jays is they don't have the strongest pitching. So that is a worry. But I do think when all is said and done, the Rays will win that division. But I would put money on the Blue Jays being the wild card team. I don't think the Yankees are making the playoffs. I know I predicted them to actually win that division. Yeah, I did. And with the Blue Jays second. But I genuinely don't want that to happen. And I don't think it will happen. I don't think the Yankees are going to be able to put it together. So I do think the Blue Jays are going to be the second best in that division, just because I think they're going to get rolling more than the Red Sox. But it's tough. I'll have to come back to this in probably a month or 2 months and look at this again. Central Division, the White Sox are winning that. No team there is going to the wild card. The Indians have been pleasantly decent, and I like that. Actually, there's a couple Indians shout-outs I got to give because living in Ohio, watch a lot of Indians games. I got a lot of Indians buddies. Sorry, not a lot of Indians players that are buddies. I got a lot of friends that like the Indians. Tristan McKenzie, young pitcher for them. Everybody watch out for him. He looks like he's going to be a stud. They've got Ahmed Rosario has been actually really producing decently for them. On base is a 310, so he's getting on base at a pretty decent level. And Eddie Rosario, a player I like, he's actually helping produce too with an OPS of, actually, sorry, I'm reading the wrong guy. I did not mean to say Eddie Rosario. I meant to say Harold Ramirez. That's who I meant to say. Harold Ramirez has actually been producing really well, too. His OPS is 791. His on-base is 327. His stats don't pop off the page that much, but his OPS plus is a 116. He's over league average. So they've only got 4 guys with an OPS plus above 100, and that's Harold Ramirez, Franmil Reyes, who right now is on the IL, Jordan Luplow, and Jose Ramirez. No shock there. Jose Ramirez is great. So nothing. They don't have a lot. I don't think they have guys that are going to get them to the playoffs, but they're doing decently, and I'm glad they're not awful. So that is my piece on the Indians. And Ramirez, though, both of them, not just Jose Ramirez. I'm also talking about Harold Ramirez. Both of them have been good, like really good. Harold Ramirez, I'm telling you guys, he's been solid. But yeah, they're not going to make playoffs. The White Sox will win that division. Then the Athletics have completely turned things around. Interestingly enough, at the beginning of the season, wasn't the highest in the Athletics. I had them 4th. I feel like that was a big mistake by me, and having the Angels 1st. I obviously couldn't predict the fact that Trout would fall apart, but not fall apart like on the field. I mean, like he's hurt because he's Mike Trout. He's the best player in the MLB. But I don't think the Angels are going to be able to come back right now. Even if they do, they're 7 games back right now. That's definitely doable. It's just I don't know if Trout comes back and everything just falls into place. And Ohtani's not playing like. It's getting rough out there. Mariners have been pleasantly good, and I'm really happy. I really like the Mariners. Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite player of all time, so I would like to see the Mariners continue to do well. I hope the Astros fall apart. But to be honest, I think the Athletics are going to win that division. I think they'll be able to keep it up. And when I'm looking at this AL, I'm almost starting to think that both the wild card team will actually be out of the same division. I'm actually starting to feel like the wild card will be the Blue Jays, Red Sox wild card. So as far as okay, here's something quick, interesting. So the Yankees-Red Sox series actually, for the first time this year, just happened this weekend, last weekend. And I find that incredibly interesting because usually they put them really early in the season, like 2 or 3 in the beginning and 2 and 3 series at the end, because that's the MLB's biggest rivalry. But now it feels like the Dodgers-Padres rivalry has become their like most marketable rivalry at the moment just because the Yankees aren't as good. They didn't expect the Red Sox to be as good as they are. And if you notice, that's how they scheduled the Dodgers-Padres. They played a lot early on, and they're playing a lot later. So I think that's interesting where it's almost like they've put that money on that rivalry more, at least for this year, and I think that was actually a good choice because that rivalry has been great. So to be honest, I'm actually starting to think that it's going to be a Red Sox-Blue Jays wild card. Right now I'm actually still really confident the White Sox will win the pennant, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was the Rays. Those are really the 2 teams for me. And if there's any team that's going to get on a We Believe Nationals type thing where they just, say, you know what? Screw it. We're getting this World Series. That would be the Red Sox for me, where they just, all the guys just kind of band of brothers and go out there and get it. But I'm still really confident in that White Sox pick. Then let's go to the NL. I do believe the Mets are winning that East division. That's a good division. Phillies are fun. Marlins are fun. Nationals, not as fun. I love Juan Soto, but there's not a lot of stuff there. I do like Trey Turner. Trey Turner's underrated too. Another great shortstop. But there's really not a lot going on there other than those guys. I think they're going to move Scherzer at the deadline. Probably have to talk about that pretty soon, what's going to happen there. The Mets, I think, are going to win that division. And barring something unforeseen, it looks like the Braves might not make the playoffs. They haven't been, killing it. But with the whole Ozuna thing, you're not sure what's going to happen there. But if he doesn't come back, let's hope that they all say, you know what? Let's do, they kind of rally around the fact that they're going to, but, they haven't really been clicking that well, even with him. So without him, I don't know if it'll even be better. So the Mets look like the NL East winner. And the thing is, with the NL, you basically have to win your division if you're trying to make the playoffs because the Padres and the Dodgers and the Giants, I think all 3 of them are making the playoffs. And that takes up your wild card spots because 3 teams in the NL West, I think, are making the playoffs. If the Giants can keep it up. That's my one worry right now is that the Giants aren't going to be able to keep up this amazing pace. But right now, I'm still believing in them, so I'm going to believe in them. So let's go over to the NL Central. I do think the Cubs, as long as they don't trade Chris Bryant, please don't do it. They'll win the division. If not, could be Cardinals or Brewers. It's really a toss-up for me. I guess I'll go Brewers for now, but I feel like when it comes down to those dog days in August, the Cardinals might step up more. Brewers are more pitching-based. Cardinals are a lot more bat-based. So that's interesting. But, yeah, really, that NL Central is pretty tight out of those top three. The Cubs at 33 wins, Brewers at 33 wins, Cardinals at 31 wins. Part of the reason and then it's not. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say that part of the reason the Reds aren't there anymore, they're 28 and 29. They had that big month going on early, but now they've slowed down. Pirates, no, it's not going to happen. So then the West Division, like I said, Giants, they're making the playoffs. Padres, Dodgers, but I do think when all said and done, the Padres, the Dodgers will win the division, and the Giants will have to face one of them in the wild card, which I feel bad for the Giants. Let's go with this. I do think the Padres, I was afraid to have the Padres win the NL when I filled out my predictions. I had them winning in the wild card over the Mets, beating the Dodgers in the DS, and I had the Braves beating them in the NLCS. And I think I remember I didn't want to push them too far just because I was worried about overhyping them. I'm incredibly excited. I wear my Padres hat. It's the most, out of my MLB hats, the one I wear the most. I love this Padres team. I watch them every time they're on the ESPN game. Tatis is just incredibly entertaining. I really like Tommy Pham for them. Big shout out, underrated guy for them. And he actually has the highest WAR on the team. You wouldn't believe this. Jake Cronenworth, he's been really good for them. Eric Hosmer, another guy I like for them. Like, they've just got good guys. And they're pitching, what do you got to say? Like Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Chris Paddock, Blake Snell. 4 absolute studs from the starting pitcher perspective. So that team just got it going on. I think they're going to win the division. And to be honest, I think they're going to win the NL. I think the Giants play the Dodgers in the wild card. Hopefully the Giants get the big upset. I'd love that. Give the Padres a good series. And then the Padres, beat the Giants. Padres beat the winner of the Mets-Cubs series, which assumingly would be the Mets. We get that good. Lindor, another shortstop. That's great. Potentially, though, the Cubs aren't even in that. It's the Brewers, the Cardinals, just if they trade Chris Bryant, which please don't trade Chris Bryant. And then we get a Padres-White Sox World Series or a Padres-Rays World Series. And if the Giants, randomly fire up and go to the World Series, I'm cool with that. As long as it's not like Dodgers, I'm happy. And I will admit I'd be kind of disappointed if it was the Braves, just because I think the Mets are a little more interesting to me because you get to see DeGrom. I don't know. I love Acuna, though. He's great. So I feel like the Braves are kind of weird right now. Not sure how to feel about them. So I feel like if I'm ranking most likely to win the World Series, number 1, if you're putting money on it, Padres. 2, Dodgers. 3, still believe in that White Sox team. 4, Rays. 5, Mets. I think that's where it's at. And I'd love to see the Giants do it, though. So, oddly enough, a lot of California teams. So, all right. MVP talks. Feels like it's going to be Ohtani, right? Ohtani's stats have been off the charts. He's also super hyped up. So, it feels like they're going to give it to Shohei Ohtani. That's just the way it feels right now. It's completely possible it's not. If he keeps not playing, it will be. But, 256 batting average doesn't jump off, but his slugging is where it's more at. He's got a 920 OPS. His OPS plus is a 146. So, when he's hitting it, he is cranking it out, which is shown in his counting stats with 16 home runs, which puts him, I can't remember what spot it was, 16 home runs. There he is. Tied for 5th. So technically it's tied for 3rd, if that makes sense, because there's 3 guys that have 17 home runs, 1 guy with 18, that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and then he's part of the 2 guys that have 16, him and Adolis Garcia for the Rangers, who I forgot existed because there's not a lot of Rangers games. I don't watch a lot of Rangers games. So, Joey Gallo, another guy potentially moved. That'd be interesting. So, yeah, I think Shohei's who they want to give it to. They've really been marketing him, but we'll have to see what happens. And, if he can keep up this excellence pitching and hitting, I don't think he's going to be Cy Young. His pitching stats aren't that level, but he's batting really well. So if not Ohtani, I mean, there's a really good chance it's Trout, or if Buxton can keep it up. But I do think it's going to end up being Ohtani. Then for the NL, I feel like it's going to be Acuna or Tatis, no questions asked, right? I would love for it to be Bryant, but I do think, Tatis right now leads the MLB in slugging. He's second in home runs. He leads the MLB and offensive WAR. So it's WAR, but everything but fielding. So at 3.3, he's been great. So he's been nuts. And then Acuna, another one right now in home runs. He is tied for second with Tatis. Him and him both have 17. Acuna also he's also leading in out of the main stats. I actually can't see. I don't see him leading in anything else. Actually, oddly enough, thought he was leading in something else, but I don't really see anything else big he's leading in. But he's obviously leading. There it is. He's second in power speed number, which is stolen bases, home runs. So it's how well you do both combined. He's second, but Tatis is number one. Tatis is also first in at-bats per home run, so that's pretty simple. You know, how many at-bats you've had per your home runs. Tatis is 9.1. He's technically leading right now because he's missed games, but Acuna is actually 11.4, which is higher. It's a weird thing because of the missed games, so that's how that works. And then I think Tatis might have a better chance, though, just because his team is going to have more success. So I do think it'll end up being Tatis, but right now it's Acuna. So those are the two. And I think that's really everything I have to say about the MLB. That was a lot to say, but I think that was all I had to say. Now let's move over, wrap everything up with the NBA. Super happy the Lakers lost. Thank you, Phoenix Suns. I know I had them going to the Western Conference Finals. It's just because I felt like it was going to happen. I'm so happy it didn't happen. Thank the Lord. So happy that didn't happen. If you hear this noise, it's because I'm clapping because I'm super happy. So thank you, Phoenix Suns. And being out is really scary. He came back and they still lost to the Hawks. And yes, I'm incredibly upset that the Knicks lost. Dang it. Also, props to Trae Young for accepting the fact that he's a villain. It's always so much cooler when, this guy, I forget who said it on The Ringer, but he was basically it's so much cooler when the athlete knows they're the bad guys and accepts it. He's like, it makes everything so much better. And Trae Young accepted that, and he's been playing the villain role, and he's been great. And oddly enough, the Hawks, if Embiid doesn't come back, guys, the Hawks could win that series and be in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think anybody would have saw that coming, but including me, I had them losing the Knicks. So, take the opportunity because Embiid is not looking the same right now, and that's not good. Bucks Nets to me is must-see TV. I truly believe whoever wins this series is winning the NBA championship. If the Jazz come out of the West, I think they would lose to the Bucks or the Nets. If the Nuggets come out of the West, they're going to lose to anyone out of the East. Well, not the Hawks. I don't know I think they might be able to beat the Hawks. A Hawks-Nuggets finals is not happening, and it would be terrible. I do not want it to happen. I don't think it'd be terrible, but I'm saying that would be very underwhelming compared to the other options we have. I don't think the Nuggets are going to be able to do that, though. I truly don't believe the Nuggets will pull that off. Then the Clippers, they're really the one team out of the West I believe in. While Phoenix is really good, when I look at Phoenix versus Nets, I think they could definitely lose that series. And when I look at Phoenix versus Bucks, I think that's a great series, but I do think the Bucks can stretch that out. The Bucks have been blowing me away with the way they've been playing. They're playing again tonight. I'm going to be glued to the TV for it. Chris Middleton has been playing good basketball. Drew Holiday's been playing good defense. He's been fighting. Bobby Portis. Even Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Brook Lopez. Everybody's just there. As I forget, I think Giannis said it. He says, we finally got a bunch of dogs. They just got guys who are just going out and playing hard. And that's true. I wish I had Donte DiVincenzo. I love him. He's great. But he's kind of their Shake Milton. Granted, He isn't any Shake Milton. Shake Milton's his own category. This isn't a joke. I legitimately think, guys, Shake Milton's great. But Donte DiVincenzo is their Shake Milton type guy, and I'm really upset that he's injured for the playoffs. But I think the Bucks got it going on right now. I think if they can beat the Nets, they can beat anybody, regardless if it's the Suns or the Clippers. Clippers are very beatable. Luka showed us all that. And the Mavericks got to figure out what they're going to do with Luka and the future of the franchise with him, because Kristaps is not working out. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is this. Market the heck out of this Nets-Bucks series, NBA, because I do think your NBA champion's coming right out of this series. If the Bucks are good enough to beat the Nets, they're getting that title. And if the Nets' offense is really that good, they can outscore Giannis and this team that's really hitting it defensively. They just swept the Miami Heat. Their Nets are legit. So that's how I feel about everything. The Clippers did not impress me at all. If I had to really bet on who's coming out of the West, I guess I'd go Suns, but even then, I'm not completely sold on anybody, really. So I guess the Suns would be the best option. The Suns would play really good basketball, but I do think they get chopped up by Giannis, and I think the Nets would just completely blow them away offensively. But we'll see. You got to play the games and see what happens. Please don't make it the Hawks in the finals. I would be so upset. Go Bucks. Go all the Padres. They've been great, and go Cubs. And to be honest, go Giants. You guys have been fun. See you all in the next one. I'm out.